Hello, everyone, and welcome to Armstrong in the Loop podcast. I'm your host, Seth Prentice. Today we have an exciting episode as we're actually recording in the WXED 107.3 FM Ellwood City radio station, and I am joined by Ricky V. Ricky, welcome to the show.
Good morning, good evening, whatever, and thank you very much for letting me take part in this media.
Ricky, it's super exciting to me the minute I learned that Ellwood City had their own community radio station, as this is something I don't think people realize is going away in local communities, and how amazing it is that the Ellwood City community and anywhere around the world can tune into 107.3.
Yeah, it's really interesting because our founder, Cindy Antonassi, who is deceased now, she had a vision for Ellwood City because Ellwood City lost its radio station a bunch of years ago, and she thought it was important to get community events and anything happening in Ellwood City over the airwaves, and not only that, but making it a welcome place for anyone who wants to volunteer to get on the air or do behind-the-scenes work. And 4 years plus later now, you know, we're growing slowly and we're getting more traction on all the medias out there. Plus, the community is starting to realize we're here because we do get more phone calls nowadays, and when people do see some of us who are on air, they recognize us by either how we present ourselves, our shows, or whatever when we're out in the media there, pressing the flesh, I like to call it. They really respond to what we're doing here.
And there isn't that source of media everywhere, and I'm sure the town has to love the fact that you have an opportunity like this to present news that's truly local to your community.
Yeah, we have Mayor Tony Cordy comes on once a week for our Mayor's Community Update, and we have Don Costa, who is a local sports legend. He played at Notre Dame in the 50s, and he talks sports with us. We have Louise Carroll, who does a lot of great work with the Ellwood City Ledger. She gets interviews for us. So we have the local people who really appreciate what's going on. They respond to those shows, and of course we're glad to have them people come in to give us input, because without them it'd be kind of boring. And Ellwood City really has a lot of good characters to get on the air, and we're just waiting to find mostly all of them.
Well, you have your own morning show, and I got to participate in one of the shows here recently. Talk to me about how you came up with the idea of your morning show and what goes into how you plan out each week and each day even.
Well, when this started 4 or 5 years ago, when the planning stages, you know, they had a little advertisement in the paper, would you like to be a volunteer at the local radio station? So I thought, well, I'll go to the meeting, but there's going to be 200 people in there wanting to get on the radio, and they'll point to the exit sign and say, sorry, you have no experience. Well, I walked into the room, there was 12 people, and they welcomed me, and they said, do you know anything about it? And I said, all I know is, 1, I like to talk. 2, I would like to have a live call-in talk show. Well, they let me talk, but no call-in show yet, which is okay. So the morning show developed because, you know, they wanted to get some personalities out there so that people can recognize. And a lot of people in town know me because I coached high school wrestling for many years. And as I delivered the Post-Gazette, I had a lot of customers that know me. So they said, would you mind doing a morning show? And I said, well, I don't want to be up in the morning to do a show. And they said, well, you can go in at night and pre-record. I knew nothing about that. So, of course, I had the aid of a lot of people. There was a Jen Kramer, there was a Tyler McCowan, Randy Hudak, Johnny Cornelius, who kind of showed me the ropes of using this Audacity. And the show just evolved. It's more or less like I want to be a regular community guy who's not too polished, who can come up with some quick-witted thoughts, sayings, ideas, and play some great music, because I think music is what makes the world happy. So we read community events. I have a day in history, a Ricky V medical moment, where the information's accurate, but sometimes, as you know, I can't read the words.
But you know what? That gives it its own little special touch and feeling that I'm not listening to, you know, an iHeart station from Los Angeles. I'm actually listening to people that are living in my local community.
Right. And that's what we want. We want people who are regular Joes, because if I was too polished, I don't think people would think they could fit in. And, of course, we would like professionals also, but we are just as welcoming to those who want to take the baby steps that I took to get on the air, because, believe it or not, you saw how the show works, At first, it was a headache for me. I didn't want to do it because I was rejecting this technology, but it's easy. After you do it 20, 30 times, it just flows really nice. And it's simple enough for everyone to get involved with.
Now, say someone would like to get involved with the station. Now, will you walk them through, or will someone walk them through, the steps of here's how you record, here's how you edit? What's a day if I, say myself, wants to come and do a show here for the station?
Well, we usually let them come in when I'm here because since I've kind of done this the longest, I can show them the Audacity program a lot easier. And we baby steps, we'll show them how to do it. We'll re-show them how to do it. We'll tell them what not to do, what you can't say, because as a low-power nonprofit, we're not allowed to have call to actions, meaning we can't say stop on in at Joe's or come by and see us. We can't do that kind of stuff. But yeah, we would welcome them to that, and if they feel like they might want to join, and then we make them fill out a resume, and we run it past the board, and the board would give them the okay. Generally, I don't think we've had anybody rejected as of yet. And then, of course, you got to get your child clearances and your background checks and fingerprints and all that. But once you get all that, you're ours.
That's amazing. Now, has there been, a certain subject that you've really enjoyed doing on your morning show, or, was there something that you thought was going to work in the beginning and didn't, and it just kind of blossomed into what you have now?
I really like kind of the format I have now with the day in history, because I call it the death and destruction list, because usually on all day in histories, there's nothing good.
Yeah.
Somebody's getting shot, hung, or burned. Right, and then I do a high school lunch menus where I make fun of the high school kids a little bit because they're basically slugs at 7 in the morning. Of course, we evolve into a word of the day. I thought it would be interesting to come up with a word of the day. What does that mean? Where did we get it? Why do we use it? And of course, the Ricky V Medical Moment, which I think it's kind of fun because there's a lot of medical issues out there that I would have never thought about, that, they come off, and I can play with them a little bit. I can make fun of them, yet give them straightforward, honest answers about the medical issues. And, of course, great music, We have a lot of rock and roll music here, and anybody who has any that we haven't heard or listened or played, get it to us.
There you go. Always taking requests.
Yes.
Now, with the station, the success that it is a nonprofit, like you stated.
Yes.
So it runs a little differently than most normal stations. So people can get involved in many different ways. I know that you were doing some shout-outs and some sponsorships, but they're not your standard sponsorships you'd think of.
Yeah, we can't do commercials, so to speak. The sponsorships are more or less where people sponsor us, and we mention them in a kind of a gratuitous way. You help us, we'll mention you for helping us, and we'll give them a lot of PR because being a nonprofit, small radio station, our sponsorship rates are very, very affordable. There's really not much to it. There's really not a lot of expense, and I tell people most of the time it's free. Sometimes it isn't, and we'll let you know ahead of time what that cost is. And the freebies are like for the people who are having a dinner to defray the costs of a cancer treatment. We don't ask for money from that kind of stuff. If somebody wants to give us a little money, that's up to them. But we try not to hit anybody with any costs that they can't afford. And we get a lot of good responses. We've probably had, in this calendar year, 2019, probably, I'd guess, 70 to 100 different community events that we put over the airwaves for free.
That's incredible, and that's just an extra source for people to find ways to get their message out there. And I love the small touch of the holiday wishes, that you shared, and some people that were able to come on. And I know in the studio, which you guys have a wonderful studio set up. If you get a chance, definitely check out the station. But you're the best mailman. What a local touch that is.
Yeah, your dog's cute, but keep him off my yard kind of shout. Yeah, we'll do all kind of shout outs, birthday shout outs, anniversary shout outs, or even, hello Santa, bring me a gift this year, not coal.
Yeah.
Whatever you want to come up with, we'll put it over the airways, of course, with the idea of keeping it clean.
Now, you are broadcasting low power, but your station can always be found online and streaming live, correct?
Yes, we are at WXEDFM.com. Heard all over the world. I have a listener from Japan. I have a listener from South Mississippi. I have a listener from Boston. And, just here and there, you hear different people. Somehow, I don't know how they pick you up or how they find you, but we will get people who will call and say, I'm listening to you from, and it's like, wow, this is wonderful. And locally, we have like a 5-mile radius.
Okay.
And it gets enough people where, we're meant to be community radio station. We're not really meant to be heard in Cranberry or Newcastle, but if we are, great. And we do take sponsorships from those areas because those people realize that although we can't be heard there on the antenna, they want our Ellwood City residents to know they're there. So they will do sponsorships for us so we can read things like from Seven Fields. We've had a couple from them through the years. DuBois Electric Storage and Battery from Newcastle is a long-term sponsor. So they understand that, tune us in, turn us on, and they're going to get some recognition and probably customers.
Well, Ricky V, let our listeners know when they can tune in to hear your daily show.
Well, my show plays twice a day because it's that good.
Well, it is.
Actually, we can play it twice a day per FCC rules. You have to have so many hours of community airplays or programs. So we can play my show twice a day. So, for instance, my Monday show plays midnight to 1 a.m. Monday, and then 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. Monday through Fridays.
That's amazing. And for more information, please check out the WXED website, as we'd love to see more people get involved with the station and definitely, hopefully, have some more programming as well.
Yes. Thank you very much for stopping in and inviting me to join your podcast.
Well, Ricky V, thank you so much. I wish you and all the other members of WXED wonderful and continuation of what you do, as this is great for the community. For Armstrong in the Loop podcast, I'm Seth Prentice, keeping you in the loop. Are you enjoying Armstrong in the Loop podcast? Great news! All past and current episodes are available on popular streaming apps and websites. Search Armstrong in the Loop podcast and subscribe today.